Hey guys, this is Trader Genius. Welcome in for another debrief and recap of our reset training topics. Today we'll be talking about process, and I'm joined by a couple buddies. As usual, got Jess, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. Grateful to be on. How are you?
I'm good. I wish I was deep embedded in the jungle, just like you are, but looks like kind of warm. Maybe some bugs around there. And we have a special guest today. One of our Diamond members, who was present at the reset training, is going to help us recap this topic process. Steve, how you doing, brother?
Great, man. Thank you.
All right, no sweat, looking sharp. I like that blue on blue you got going on there. Today we're talking about process, guys. So process. Let's start by defining that word because we hear it all the time. If you're a sports fan, a lot of times you hear an athlete talk about trusting the process or the whole team's process for getting better. So, Jess, what is a process, and how do we, kind of carve out a process that works for us and delivers positive results?
Yeah, process is a series of actions with an end result. Um, at the end of that series of actions being conducted. So you know that you need from A to B, B to C, C to D, and that's going to result in E over time, specifically as it goes into trading. So the best way to create a process is, like you've mentioned before, go into the laboratory, get systematic, figure out what works and what doesn't work to get you to where you want to be. And then once you kind of got that magic recipe or that formula put together, you just keep reapplying that formula over and over and over again till you get to where you want to go.
Okay, excellent. And Steve, that term process, in your life before you started trading for yourself, did you encounter that term, and kind of what did it mean to you then versus what it means to you as a trader now?
Yeah, sure. I was in software training, and it was a very strict process implementation from front of office to back of office. So again, series of steps to get us to a desired result that anybody could replicate in the same environment.
Okay, excellent. So it's not something that really needs a whole lot of ego involved, doesn't need emotions to get in there, and we'll talk about that. Process is cold, cool, clinical, inputs and outputs. So it matters a lot what our inputs are as far as delivering consistency in the outputs. We need to be consistent in our process so that we get consistent results. And one of our guys, Steven, the co-founder of Trader Genius and the initiator of the Cornerstone Method and Virtues of a Master, these documents and methodologies that we all use. Basically, he sculpted this with the help of the other co-founder, Alan, of Trader Genius. And the Cornerstone Method is what we've all found in Trader Genius. That's what unites us as a club, is we use a methodological approach, a systematic approach to trading consistently over time. So it's a process that delivers a result. And, this is what we need as small-time retail traders. You may have, $500,000 that you're trading with, but you're probably still on the small fish side compared to those big fish out there. They have a different methodology that they can go about. So if you got, $100 billion of assets under management, you're a big institution or a really wealthy individual, you can splash the market and you can move shares of Boeing up when you want to and do a little pump and dump action. Us as the small fish, we're a little speedboat compared to their ocean liner. So we're going to zip in, zip out, and having a methodology, guys out there, whether you're a brand new trader or an experienced trader, is the reliable and consistent way to go about day trading, stock trading, forex, crypto, anything you want to trade. Methodological approach is probably going to be the most consistent for you. So if it's methodological and it's kind of void of emotion, Jess, how do the emotions actually get involved? Where do they creep in? Maybe when our back is turned.
The emotions are always there. It's a matter of, are you able to contain those, right? We get these emotions. They're innate. They're inborn in us. And then also our relationship with money can amplify some of those emotions as well. So lots of times what we see, especially traders that have been taught a process or a systematic way of going about trading, is the focus is no longer on the process and it's on the end result. And when we're focusing on the end result, we lose sight of all the actions and the minutia of the specific process that was getting us that desirable result, because then we start focusing on the money and lose sight of all those little bits that are so important to get us to where we want to be. And fear, greed, hope, those are kind of the three main identifiable ones, but there's all sorts of other stuff that can go on that creep into our trading and our sabotage. They are, going back to Steve's example with what he was previously doing, those are viruses. Those are computer viruses that come in and whittle their way into your systems and your processes and make it so it's not as effective.
Yeah, gotcha. Steve, I mean, from your time when you started training in the simulator and simulated trades all the way up to trading cash, like, have emotions been consistently kind of present no matter what environment you were trading in? And how do you kind of grapple with them when they do come into your day trading?
It's definitely a stair step for me. Sim, the emotions are there, but not near like they are during live or when money is on the table. But for me, the process and sticking to the process and then not rewarding myself when I don't stick to the process has been very helpful.
Yeah. And in what way do you not necessarily punish yourself, but kind of chastise yourself and self-correct when those emotions do guide a decision here and there?
It's really my trading log. I really lean on my trading log. It's hard to take a loss and then immediately document that loss, but it is vital. It's crucial. And those losses stick out like a sore thumb. And I go back through them and read them. I don't want to say daily, but very frequently I'm looking at my trade log. So
yeah, this is where we get into a little bit of the, psychological, neurological aspects of taking gains and losses. Losses really hurt. I mean, it kind of feels like you just got kicked in the groin, right? Or somebody shot your dog. Like, it's a no bueno feeling. And that can set us up for that negative feedback loop, the really, really low, and then set us up for the high, the elation of the gain. But it's always better, well, not always, but it's a better idea to be calm, cool, and collected. Now that pain is going to hurt. And hey, our co-creator or co-founder of Trader Genius, Steven, he's told me before that emotions are igniters of thought. Hey, Jess, like, emotions are the igniters of thought. You can't really get rid of those emotions, but you can change the way that they affect your behavior. You can say, okay, I recognize that they're coming. This hope that the trade's going to come back, or the pain of the loss, it's let it hurt. Why not? Why not let the losses hurt? But deal with them in a very cognitive and cerebral way. Process them, like you said, Steve, with a trade log that puts the emphasis not on the result, Jess, but on the actions that created the result. So what is the intent of using a trade log with regard to the measurement of success, i.e. the gain and loss, versus giving yourself kind of like a report card as CEO of your trading business, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to know where you are at ultimately in your account. Is your account growing? Is your account not growing? But what's the most important is it growing or not growing because of your process or because of you? And that trade log allows you, with that scorecard, to be able to decipher that. And it removes the emotions and go, okay, on all of these trades, I have followed my process and I am not getting the desired results that's necessary for me to be able to continue in this pursuit. Okay, no problem. Back to the lab, get back at it.
So, Steve, when it comes to your trade log, is it more a matter of, hey, if I gain money, it's a good thing. If I lose money, it's a bad thing? Or are you using your trade log to give yourself more of a scorecard and like a report card as to how you performed within your process?
Oh, I'm definitely check and balancing my process. And I can 99% of the time guarantee that if my process isn't followed, that I see it on my trade log. it's apparent. So, and it's amazing going back through my trade log, the things that you'll put down, and how you can build from it and grow.
And mostly I find that, obviously there's the mundane, details and particulars of a trade. I entered at this price and this time, and I exited at this price, but it's the journal portion that I find to be the most useful into getting some insight and some reflection into what's going on between my ears. And that's where it's a commitment to getting it right with a process, not being right and attributing my worth as a trader to the arbitrary byproduct of a trade that I engaged in. That can't, go ahead, brother.
Well, it really helps for me to define some principles and rules for myself. I use it for my emotions a lot: anxiety, nervous, angry, whether I've got kids over, my babysitting, what my environment's like. And then I can pinpoint that, hey, if I'm going to be babysitting the nephews today, I might just not even trade, so it really allows me to define my principles and my rules to allow me to be successful.
And one of the things I discussed with my coach, Stephen, back in the day was setting the conditions so that the inevitable byproduct is more of what you want. And obviously that's more gains, but we can't stare at the target, i.e. rifle shooting. You stare at the front sight tip, and that's what needs to be in focus in your eyeballs, not the target. So stare at your process with your trade log and examine that. And those awareness gains, like you said, if you're actually having that open mind and your aperture is wide open, you're going to be able to detect whether or not, the dog was barking because the lawnmower guy's outside or whatever, and that was just driving you nuts. And whether you realized it at the time or not, it was steering your decisions. And what that can do when we have that pressure, that feeling of, oh, I need to do this right now, despite whatever the environment is. I'm Superman, right? I'm the champion. I can get this right. Well, there are certain environments that are not helpful for getting good trades in. And that's where it's more about the ego. And I grapple with this, brother, because way back in the day, in the Marines, I could affect the outcome of a situation physically, and mission accomplishment was paramount. So I go above and beyond to try to affect mission success. Trading is a different environment. Those habits that were hardwired through repetitious practice in combat just don't apply here. So my aggressiveness does not have a place in my day trading for sure. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Jess, man, can you hear us, brother? Okay, coming on.
Yeah, I got you.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago, brother, like the neurons that wire together, fire together. And this was in the context of the Blue Angels. So as far as a process that requires meticulous attention and how does that fit in? Neurons that wire together, fire together to your trading process and improving your process.
It means everything. Being able to have the same repetitious, process-driven approach to trading, doing the same thing every time over and over, it creates a superhighway with less off-ramps, so to speak, in your brain. So it's a little bit harder to get distracted. It's a little bit easier to manage those emotions, etc., to where it starts to move into a process that becomes a little bit more unconscious, because you are so wired tight, with your process, that things happen automatically or in some level of automation. Now, I don't want to say it gets to the point where it's completely automated, because I don't want to lead anybody astray on that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jess. Like, it's never going to be completely mindless when we're trading, especially for something as quick as day trading. Hey, Steve, like it's a couple minute trades that specifically us three are going after. It's the process that we hone through our practice. But can it ever be mindless, brother? Or do you always have to be present and deliberate with your actions?
Oh, absolutely present, deliberate. You can go back to the saying, trading is extremely simple, the process, but it's not easy. It's simple. My process, my steps, you can whip them out in 7 or 8 seconds, but it's not easy. So very deliberate intention. I come to the desk every morning with the intention of following my process, sticking to the process. And like I said, it's evident when I don't, whether it be emotions or my environment or whatever the case may be. But it's definitely deliberate.
Yeah, and I can tell when I'm not 100% there because I make assumptions,
Mhm.
and that's when the little creeps in my mind start to say, oh yeah, Amazon is definitely going to go up to $3,400 a share. It's definitely going to. So I'm just going to ride this, make a quick profit. And what is that driven by? That's driven by my desire to make a profit and feel that elation of the gain. But it's not it. That's the little dog chasing. My dog brain is chasing the results. Instead, that dog in my head does not care about the possible risk to my trading account. And that's why I came here. So I came here to grow that account, not to put it at unnecessary risk. I'm not looking to take casualties to put it in a military process kind of perspective. So yeah, it can't be mindless. That's a good point, Jess. We need to be deliberate practitioners. And we use that word, if you remember, Steve, I don't know if you were there a few sessions ago, a practitioner. I know when I'm sitting there doing yoga that, it's 75 or 90 minutes, depending on the class. And I need to be 100% there if I'm going to be actually getting the benefits of the practice. Intentful, deliberate, purposeful practice. That's the same way I warm up and prepare for my trading process every morning. Now we talked about that Bruce Lee quote a couple sessions ago as well. Do you happen to remember how that goes when he's talking about 10,000 kicks?
Yeah, I'm afraid of the guy that knows 10,000 kicks one time. Is that it? Something along those lines?
Yeah.
Or has done one kick 10,000 times?
Exactly. And he's talking about practice. So I fear the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time, not one. No, 10,000 kicks one time is who he doesn't fear. One kick 10,000 times is who he does fear. And if Bruce Lee is fearing somebody, basically we can translate to, if you've done 10,000 kicks or one kick 10,000 times, then you have honed in that very specific behavior pattern. And you've made that a habit to do that excellently. It doesn't mean you can do it without thinking. We used this example the other night in the session with our fellow Diamond members. Like, Steve, you tell me to take a drink.
Take a drink.
Okay. I didn't have to break it down like we talked about, like a 3-year-old, a toddler. When your kid was learning how to take a drink out of a sippy cup, he had to kind of like 100% focus. That's conscious process, guys. That's where you'll start with trading if you don't have any experience. And I know I started there. Even though what I just did was unconscious process, Steve gave me a command. I could give it to myself, take a drink, bring the glass up to my lips, take a sip, blah, blah, blah. That's all unconscious process, but it doesn't mean it's mindless. It doesn't mean I'm kind of on autopilot and checked out when I'm doing it. I still have to have some level of attention here. It's just I've synthesized those little teeny tiny commands and motor functions into one basic command. And hey, brother, that's all we're trying to do with our trading is make it into conscious process. So if we want to do that and chain together all those little tiny micro motor functions into one singular decision, because that's all trading is, do I go or do I not go? Red light, green light. That's all this needs to be. So buy and close are two simple decisions as traders we have. We need to practice that over and over and over again, regardless of the setting, whether it's in the simulator or it's in the cash market and you actually, this is your livelihood, like Steve, Jess, and I kind of have committed to. So if we're going to do that and we're going to commit to practicing one methodology and getting that up and running and being masterful with it, why not commit to following your rules? What gets in the way of you following your rules, Steve, man, just from your feedback and logging?
Really just emotions. I'm an anxious person to begin with, and I've really had to deal with that. And anybody that's been in this will tell you mindset is critical. Anybody can follow the rules, but the mindset is so important. And being an anxious person, I've really had to deal with that. And it's actually it's helped my anxiety as well, because it's like training. It's ironic. My son, 22-year-old, asked me, he goes, when you lose, do you go back and, see if it would have gone back up, or what do you do? And I said, but we got the simulator, and that's exactly what I do. Even if I win, I go back and say, did I exit this appropriately? Could I have hung on longer? Did I, what could I have done better, or what did I miss? Or just, it's that 10,000 kicks one time is what I'm attempting to do.
Okay. Gotcha, brother. Yeah. And 10,000 times, if you repeat that same process, you're gonna inherently get better, but you're gonna be giving it attention and shoring up those little gaps in your coverage. When it comes to that process, like that's the term we're talking about today, is process. But I put out a challenge to the whole crowd the other night. Hey, record your process. It's a 3-minute video. That's the challenge. And that doesn't just mean, hey, what happens when, the market starts to go and we start to get K-band turning on and the indicators say it's a strong trend. No, process encompasses everything from the moment you begin your preparation to trade, specific to day trading is what I'm talking about here, all the way till you're done logging and you've closed out your spreadsheet, you've closed down your software, and you're done trading for the day. That is what encompasses your entire process. So you can't just cherry pick and take the execution part of my process and where I'm actually clicking buy and clicking close. No, that's just the kind of the culmination, the climax of it. But we need to widen that aperture and like you said, study what we did in retrospect and reflection in order to determine if we're actually doing what we think we're doing. People every day, every second, right now, you out there, we make decisions as human beings, flawed creatures, that is actually not in our best interest, unhealthy choices. And when it comes to trading, guys, if you have experience, you've felt this. Steve and I and Jess, I know we've all grappled with this, but if you're new to trading, maybe you don't understand that there's a tendency, especially for the quick trading process, to treat it like gambling. So when it comes to options day trading, I don't know, Steve, when I tell somebody that I day trade options, a lot of times I get the big eyes and, the eyebrows go up and so I can feel it. It's visceral. They think that I'm gambling. And unfortunately, too many people treat it that way. So I don't know, do you get those same kind of looks when you talk about day trading?
I do. Or it's, how much did you make today? Or,
Right.
And they don't understand, you brought up talking about the process, we've coined the term PTR, pre-trade ritual, and how critical that is. I've found out for me, I trade Eastern hours. So I've got a few hours in the morning before the market opens. And I've really figured out that those few hours are critical. Like me getting in my routine and doing the same thing, whether it's eating, showering, walking the dog, back to but yeah, that process is amazing. And yeah, definitely people definitely rise an eyebrow when you say you're a day trader. They don't know if you're the GameStop guy or if you're the serious guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you could be out there just rolling the dice. I do think that preparation is a key differentiation between a trader and a gambler. And that anxiety, I got it too, brother. I'm always uneasy. I'm always hyper aware of my, hypersensitivity. It's part of, being a combat vet. The anxiety is curbed. It's never 100% extinguished, but it is curbed by the more prepared that I am. And I've been guilty in the past of showing up 2 minutes before opening bell and firing up my software and thinking, yeah, I'm good to go. Oh, this feels good. It's like, get back on a bike. I see the reds, I see the greens on my indicators. I'll be all right today. When no, the right answer is, okay, look, if you're shortchanging your preparation, this has to be a no trade day. So you better not log into that cash account. You better log into your paper account and do some simulated trades instead of risking real money on it.
And I don't know about you, but those emotions that are boiling up to me are a good thing. They let me know that I'm on board. I'm ready for this. You know what I'm saying? Like something's going on. I need to get in tune with myself. That I am putting some extra energy into this and that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So my anxiety coming to a certain level is actually a good thing for me. But like you said, being able to curb it and manage it and recognize it is where it becomes powerful.
It's an indicator.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, our body is the most strong feedback system we got. How do you know whether food is something that's going to be good to eat or not? Visually.
Smell.
Sniff test, right?
Yeah.
If it's like fruit or something and it's overly squishy, that's no bueno.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, if you do ingest it and your stomach gets all kind of bubble guts, like that's the feedback you need that this is not something that's good for you. So yeah, our body is the strongest feedback mechanism we've got. We might as well be listening to it and stop with this, guys out there, if you're convinced that you can be robotic and have no emotions ever in your trading, well, there's something you may be an outlier, that's for sure. There are folks who really operate like robots, but that's a small minority of the people out there. For the rest of us, we have to recognize that those emotions are just part of being human. It's part of our circuitry up top. And a lot of times the emotions come in so strongly that they can guide our decisions, Steve, man. And that's really the litmus test is, okay, the emotions are coming in. I feel that anxiety. I feel fear or apprehension or whatever it may be. But are they getting to the point? Am I letting them far enough into my process that they're guiding my decisions? And that is the red line that they cannot cross. Okay, I'm going to feel a little tingle in my spine or, in the back of my neck once in a while. But if that's because I was unprepared or I'm making rash decisions chasing money, that's when I know that I'm gone too far. I need to GTFO, get the F out, guys. That's what GTFO is. Come back when I'm ready to trade and do so without the emotions guiding my trading decisions. So it can get into that loop where it's a gambling addiction. And, addiction is something that gets into our brain. It happens with food. It happens with alcohol. It happens with a ton of stuff, but it's all about the chemical cascade that happens up here. So ask yourself out there, guys, we're going to wind down the video. Are you feeling that roller coaster? Are you feeling overjoyed and like you're the king or queen of the world when you make a good gain, 10%, 20%? Those feel great, don't they, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
But if you're feeling that self-love and you're feeling, an inflated sense of ego and self-worth because you had that gain, what happens the next time when you gamble and you take that big loss? You're setting yourself up for that roller coaster ride. So if you're anywhere on that roller coaster ride, realize you're in a negative feedback loop. And that is a really difficult way to execute a consistent process. You're going to have your ups and your downs. And unfortunately, because of the way we interface as human beings with a methodology, it's probably going to be more down than up because your fear is going to keep you out of the bigger gains. You're going to be happy. Oh my God, 2.5%, right? Like I was down 25%. Now I'm up 2.5%. Victory, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's a fear-based exit. And then, the other half the time, I'm out at 12%. Like, this thing's gone too far. And you take the huge loss and teeny tiny gains and you end up that slow, steady bleed out. That's the ugly side of it. But Steve, in closing, there is a better way. There's a process-based route. So with time and attention, can you rewire that reward system in your brain to take a more business-like professional approach to your process?
Absolutely. It happened to me today. I traded an index, I traded SPY and got up to around 6, 7, 8%, but I wasn't happy with the price action. And my intuition was saying it might go more, but I hit my target and I exited and I had a good clean day. I was happy. I stuck to my process. Could I have got more? Sure, maybe, I don't know, but I didn't let my emotions drive me. I went with my process. I hit my target, and that's good. It's a good day. I'm done.
Hell yeah, dude! Great work this morning, and guys out there listening to Steve and putting that into the context of what we talked about with Bruce Lee. Like a martial artist shows up prepared, and they're looking for an opening to actually use that kick when they're fighting somebody else. So what happened with you trading SPY this morning was you saw an opening for a single kick, right? But a lot of times as traders, we get greedy and we want more. We want more. So we force a second kick out of that when the guys, you know, your opposition number, your counterpart, he's got his guard up now. So that would be like Steve asking for more out of SPY this morning than 8%, which is a fantastic gain in the big picture. That would be like trying to force another kick when it's going to get blocked and you know it, and you're going to hurt your foot. So good job, good discipline, brother. Good way to stick to your process. And I wanted to leave you guys with a quote that we talked about the other night in reset training to help kind of, you know, cement what a process is and why it's relevant to you to have one as a trader. It doesn't need to be complex. It's not exactly going to be easy, like you said, Steve, but it needs to be very simple, and just view it as the long-term building up of a process that works. So the quote is from Jon Stewart, and guys, this is not a political statement. It's just about process. So here's the quote: "Excellence is hard. Every process is a draft. First, second, third revision. It's a methodology that you can apply to anything that's done. That's why I have such great admiration for people who excel at what they do, because I know what goes into it." So, Steve, just kind of, you know, closing out our discussion today, is your process is it done right now? Is it ever going to be done, or is it always going to be in draft status?
I'm always trying to improve it. I think I have my core foundation, that's for sure, that I will always stick to. But, you know, we've talked about tinkering too. You know, do I need to mess with my process? If my process is working, do I really need to mess with it? So I'm happy with my process now, but I'm always have my eyes open, my mind open. But I think sticking to the process ultimately is what works.
Yes, sir. And, you know, that's what everybody does in who wants to be successful in any realm of the business world. And make no mistake, the stock market is a business environment. So treat your process like a business process. Continuously give yourself that feedback to see if, hey, am I making good business decisions or not? If not, simply, as Steve just put it, revise, get better, shore up those weaknesses and improve on your strengths to the point where you can't get it wrong. And that one kick that you've practiced 10,000 times is like second nature, and you can be purposeful and opportunistic for when you employ that kick or click the buy button for us as traders. So Steve, thank you so much for coming in. Jess, man, I know you're in the background having some technical difficulties, but hey, it's great to have you as well, brother. We'll kick it off in another couple weeks, but this was a recap of what we talked about in our Trader Genius Diamond Member Reset training that we do every couple weeks to get back to the basics. Emphasis today was on process, and I think Steve, just mapping it out, next time we meet up, we're going to be talking about preparation. So an essential part of all of our processes as traders. So appreciate you, brother. More trades like you had this morning, and happy trading, guys. Take it easy out there. We'll see you next time.